Hey there, future millionaires! Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to have you here with me again. I genuinely hope you're having an awesome day, no matter where you're tuning in from around this amazing world of ours. Today, we're diving into XRP, and I've got the one-day chart pulled up right here. As you can see, we're currently sitting at $2.31, and yeah, XRP is taking another dip today along with the broader market. Now here's the million-dollar question that I know is on everyone's mind. Are we actually going to break below that crucial $2 mark? And honestly, there's still a real possibility that could happen. Now, I'm always the optimist here. I love staying positive and thinking we're about to see that upward momentum kick in. But let's be real for a second. When you zoom out to the 7-day chart, you can clearly see we've actually broken below that channel we were trapped in for what felt like forever. Could we go even lower from here? Absolutely, it's possible. But here's the thing that keeps me excited. I'm constantly watching for that breakout moment because when XRP decides to move, it's going to be lightning fast. We're talking about explosive price action that'll catch everyone off guard. The big question everyone's asking is, when will this happen? And honestly, nobody has a clue. This entire cycle has been completely unpredictable. Nothing has gone according to the textbook. That's what makes it so thrilling and frustrating at the same time. And wow, look at Bitcoin. We're back under $109,000. I'm seeing tons of people in the comments and across social media calling for Bitcoin to drop below $100,000. Honestly, at this point, we just have to buckle up and see what happens next. Now, there are two camps forming here. On one side, you've got people predicting a massive pump over the weekend. And hey, weekends can be wild in crypto. But on the flip side, others are pointing out that the government is expected to reopen today, which could shake things up. Don't worry, I'm going to dive deeper into that government situation later in this video. But here's my biggest piece of advice right now, and I cannot stress this enough. Just hold through this turbulence. Do not let this market shake you out of your positions. Because if you panic sell now and this market bounces back hard, you're going to be kicking yourself for weeks. Trust me, I've seen this story play out too many times before. So get this. China just announced they want to work with the United States to find a solution on trade. And honestly, it's like watching a soap opera at this point. One day it's, we're slapping tariffs on China. The next day it's, actually, we want to work together. Then China's like, hey, we're totally open to collaboration. This constant back and forth is creating absolute chaos in the markets, and you can see it playing out in real time. We get these massive sell-offs when tensions rise, then suddenly we bounce back a little when there's hope for cooperation. But just when you think we're stabilizing, bam! Another news headline drops and we're right back down again. And you know what? People in the crypto community keep screaming market manipulation. And honestly, I can't blame them. When you see these wild swings happening every time there's a trade headline, it definitely makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Alright, so here's some news that's got the crypto community absolutely fired up. Eric Trump just announced that the Trump family has made over $1 billion from crypto. And wow, people are not happy about this at all. I mean, you've got the Trump family raking in massive profits while everyone else is sitting here waiting for their portfolios to finally break out. No wonder people are screaming market manipulation left and right. But here's my take on this, and listen carefully because this is important. If Eric Trump is out there telling you to buy the dip, that should be a massive red flag. When you hear that, you've got to ask yourself, are they trying to herd us retail investors in just to use us as exit liquidity? Because that's exactly what it looks like to me. This is the same reason I get super cautious about Bitcoin when there's this level of hype surrounding it. When I see US government officials, celebrities, and mainstream media personalities all pushing people to buy Bitcoin, that's when alarm bells start going off in my head. Something just doesn't feel right about that scenario. Here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. Bitcoin isn't going up forever, folks. I keep hearing people say the 4-year cycle is completely broken and Bitcoin's just going to keep running all the way to 2030. And honestly, that's complete nonsense in my opinion. I think Bitcoin has one more final push to a new all-time high left in it, and then we're going to see it start breaking down. Mark my words on that one. And anybody still holding it is going to be stuck in it until at least 2028. And again, the 2028 cycle might not even happen if utility starts driving all of this market, because we are on the verge of utility driving these cryptocurrencies. It's going to be all about use case and real-world value. And Brad Garlinghouse says today, Ripple is breaking into the $120 trillion corporate treasury payments market with the $1 billion acquisition of G-Treasury. The past few years have reminded this industry why payments, first and foremost, is the primary use case for crypto, and blockchain payments are where Ripple first started for exactly these reasons. The infrastructure is complex, siloed, and inefficient, but as we know, perfectly positioned to benefit from decentralized financial technologies. Astounding amounts of cash are trapped in outdated payment systems, creating friction, unnecessary cost, and barriers to entering new markets. G-Treasury has been serving some of the most well-known brands for decades, and now, together with Ripple, we'll be able to help CFOs manage all their assets, including stablecoins, tokenized deposits, etc., at scale around the world, as well as put their idle capital to work with repo markets via Hidden Road. The opportunity is here, and we're diving right in. It's happening. This is huge. And in that video yesterday, I even said, Brad's signaling more acquisitions, and the next day this drops. That timing is definitely not a coincidence, guys. Brad has this habit of dropping little hints when something massive is brewing, and yesterday was a perfect example of that. He loves to tease the community right before big announcements drop. Now, you'd think news this enormous would send XRP's price absolutely soaring, right? I mean, we're talking about $1 billion acquisition into a $120 trillion market. But here's the frustrating reality. We're still completely chained to Bitcoin's movements. When Bitcoin decides to break down, it's like a domino effect that drags the entire market down with it, no matter how incredible the individual project news might be. But let's talk about why this acquisition is such a game changer, especially for big institutions. Unlocking that idle capital sitting around doing nothing? That's absolutely massive. Think about it. These institutions have tons of money just sitting there, not generating any returns. They desperately want to put every single dollar to work for them because it directly improves their balance sheets and makes their shareholders happy. This is exactly the kind of real-world utility that's going to separate the winners from the losers in the next phase of crypto. And Monica Long absolutely nailed it with her statement. She said she's incredibly excited for Ripple and G-Treasury to help corporations move money around the world faster, cheaper, and get this, 24/7, 365 days a year. No more waiting for banks to open on Monday morning. No more weekend delays. We're talking about truly global, always-on financial infrastructure. But here's what really gets me pumped up. They're not just moving money. They're actively helping these corporations manage and grow their capital through safer, more efficient solutions. This is the Ripple platform being put to work on a massive global corporate scale. And listen to this. Monica said the opportunity to unlock literally trillions of dollars in trapped capital for corporations is huge, ambitious, and exciting. When you hear language like that from Ripple executives, you know something big is happening. Here we go, people. In my opinion, this is just another crucial puzzle piece falling into place for Ripple. Every acquisition, every partnership, every regulatory win, it's all building towards something much bigger than what we're seeing on the surface right now. They're strategically putting all the pieces together to make this vision a reality, and it's absolutely mind-blowing when you think about the scope of what's happening here. Picture this. Every single G20 nation is going to hold and offer RLUSD plus their own digital currencies, all running on the XRP Ledger. We're talking about the world's most powerful economies, all operating on the same infrastructure. That's incredible. And here's something that might blow your mind. This is exactly why the XRP Ledger has a built-in DEX that's literally known as the World Exchange. I know that sounds almost too good to be true, and I get it if you're skeptical. Trust me, I was too when I first heard about it. But whether you believe it or not, the infrastructure is already there, and it's already happening. Sometimes the biggest opportunities are the ones that sound so ambitious that people dismiss them as impossible. But that's exactly what makes them so powerful when they actually come to fruition. I've been saying this for ages. This is going to create an absolutely massive liquidity pool. And here's how brilliant this system really is. Picture this scenario. When the US needs to send money to Europe, instead of going through all those slow, expensive, traditional banking channels, the money flows seamlessly into this liquidity pool. It goes in as US dollars, gets converted to XRP in the middle for that lightning-fast transfer, and then comes out on the other side as euros, pounds, or whatever currency is needed. It's like having a universal translator, but for money. And it all happens in seconds instead of days. And speaking of perfect timing, here's something that's definitely not a coincidence. So let's dive into what G-Treasury actually does, because this is where things get really interesting. According to their own website, G-Treasury is the industry-leading solution that's specifically designed to handle every single stage of Treasury complexity. We're talking about cash visibility, forecasting, payments, risk management, debt, investments, the whole 9 yards. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Check this out. On their website, you can see something called a netting center. And when you look at it, wow, it looks almost identical to what we see right here. That is definitely not a coincidence, people. This is one absolutely massive piece of the puzzle falling into place for Ripple, and I'm telling you right now, we're going to see real value come from this acquisition. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. This might not translate to instant price pumps tomorrow. But mark my words, we will see value creation, and we will see XRP's price reflect this strategic move over time. Sometimes the biggest gains come from the moves that take a little patience to fully play out. And weeks retail sellers selling into the dumps whales buy XRP to sweep it up, and then the pump comes. Now, here's something really interesting I've been tracking. The XRP Rich List is actually changing pretty dramatically, and honestly, I think I know exactly what's happening here. A lot of people are getting seriously frustrated with these constant dips, and they're throwing in the towel, selling off their XRP bags. But here's the thing that drives me crazy. People keep getting shaken out on red days, and that's like the #1 rule you should never break in crypto. You never, ever sell on a red day. Let me break this down for you because this is super important to understand. When XRP's price drops, you're not actually losing real money. Your portfolio value goes down on paper, sure, but that's just numbers on a screen. Then what happens when we get a green day? Boom, your portfolio value bounces right back up. The only way you actually lose money, and I mean real, permanent loss, is if you hit that sell button during the red. That's when paper losses become real losses. I've been watching this rich list evolve over months and months, and wow, it's changed quite a bit. It's honestly both fascinating and a little sad to see how many people are giving up their positions right before we could see some major moves. Here's something that absolutely blows my mind. To be in the top 10% of XRP holders right now, you only need 2,435 XRP. I still remember when that number was well over 5,000, and it just keeps shrinking because people keep selling their bags. This is actually incredible news for those of us who are holding strong. Every time someone sells and walks away, the barrier to entry into that elite top 10% gets lower and lower. But here's what I want you to really understand. Anyone who's selling right now is going to have massive regrets. I'm telling you this with complete confidence because I've seen this cycle play out before. When that euphoria finally hits, and trust me, it will hit, you want to be positioned for it. Picture this. Everyone's going absolutely crazy. People can't sleep. They're checking their phones every 5 minutes because the gains are just insane. You want to be here for that moment. This is going to be one of the most exciting periods of your entire life because you're literally going to watch yourself make in a couple of weeks what most people work 5 years to earn. That's the incredible power of crypto when it really takes off. The wealth creation happens at lightning speed. That's exactly why I keep telling people to hold tight through these tough times. Here's a pattern that's absolutely fascinating and a little terrifying at the same time. October 2017, major dump. October 2021, another massive dump. And now October 2025, yep, you guessed it, we're seeing the exact same setup, same structure, same chart pattern playing out again. Don't say I didn't warn you about this. Now, everyone and their grandmother is calling for the breakout to finally begin. But here's the million-dollar question. When is it actually going to happen? I'm seeing people all over social media saying it'll probably be the last week of this month. Others are absolutely convinced that next week is going to be the biggest week in crypto history. But let's be real here. Nobody actually knows. We're all just speculating and making educated guesses. Even the most experienced chart analysts out there will tell you the charts look absolutely bullish right now. But here's what keeps happening. Every single time it looks like we're on the verge of that massive breakout we've all been waiting for, something in the real world comes out of nowhere and smacks the entire crypto space back down. It's like the universe is conspiring to delay this cycle even longer. I keep seeing people say, this cycle isn't delayed. But come on, it absolutely is delayed. Think about it. By this point in the cycle, Bitcoin should already be sitting comfortably in new all-time high territory. The altcoin market? We should have seen multiple cryptocurrencies hitting their own all-time highs by now. But none of that is happening. And you know what? Most people are starting to lose faith completely. But here's why that actually makes me feel more bullish than ever. When everybody's beaten down, exhausted, and ready to throw in the towel, that's historically when the market decides to flip the script and absolutely explode to the upside. So here's some pretty wild news. Bitcoin might actually record its first negative October since way back in 2018. And if you've been scrolling through crypto Twitter lately, you can definitely feel the shift. Retail traders are getting increasingly cautious, and honestly, I can't blame them. But here's what I think is really going on behind the scenes. We've got institutional money flooding into this space now through those Bitcoin ETFs, and it's completely changing the game. The money flows in, but then some of it flows right back out again, creating this weird push and pull effect that's making this cycle look totally different from previous ones. I've been hearing a lot of analysts say that if people were actually buying real Bitcoin instead of these ETFs, this cycle would already be playing out completely differently. And you know what? They might have a point. But here's the funny thing. Back in 2024, when those ETFs were absolutely pumping Bitcoin's price, everyone was celebrating. Institutional adoption, this is it! Now suddenly, people are calling it paper Bitcoin and saying it's not real, and everyone's selling off because of the stagnant price action. The irony is pretty incredible, right? But here's what I still believe. Bitcoin has one last massive push upward left in it. The big question is, when is it going to happen? If it kicks off in the next couple of weeks, then we're absolutely back in business. But if this delay stretches even longer, we might be looking at the end of the year. Maybe December ends up being the breakout month for all crypto. Honestly, we just don't know. I'm seeing tons of people saying, October isn't over yet, and expecting something huge by month end. But the truth is, we're all just trying to read the tea leaves at this point.
So here's the latest update on the government situation. The Democrats just voted for the 10th time to keep the government shut down, and it's all over healthcare coverage for undocumented immigrants. Based on how dug in both sides seem to be, I honestly don't think they're going to reopen anytime soon. We could be looking at this dragging on for several more weeks. Now here's why this matters for us as XRP investors. We're all sitting here waiting for those XRP ETFs to finally get approved. And we already know that's going to be absolutely massive for XRP's price when it happens. I'm seeing people in the community saying this government shutdown had to happen specifically to delay the XRP spot ETFs. And you know what? At this point, as XRP investors, we should probably all be experts at dealing with delays by now. Think about it. Every single time the SEC versus Ripple case looked like it was finally wrapping up, what happened? Yep, another delay. Another extension. Another, oh wait, not so fast. It's like we've been training for this moment our entire XRP journey. Another delay, another 6 months. Story of our lives as XRP investors, right? But here's the silver lining. I genuinely think Paul Atkins is going to fast-track those ETFs the moment the government reopens. And when that happens, that could be the catalyst that really gets XRP moving. Now, is this going to happen in October or November? Honestly, we just don't know yet. It's looking more like November at this point, but hey, that doesn't mean something else can't come out of nowhere and get this market absolutely flying. The ETFs are just one of many catalysts for XRP, and that's what I keep trying to tell you. But listen, and I cannot stress this enough, you do not sell on a red day. I want to get rich with all of you, but I can't do that if you're panic selling your crypto every time the market dips. And I definitely can't get rich with you if you're selling way too early. I'm telling you right now, anyone who sells XRP under 2 digits is going to have massive regrets.
You absolutely should not even think about selling until we see three major things happen. ETFs go live, ISO 2022 implementation, and regulatory clarity from the US government. Those are the three biggest catalysts I'm watching for XRP, unless the banks suddenly come out of their testing phase on the private ledger, which would be incredible. Here's what's exciting though. We honestly have no idea yet how ISO 2022 is going to affect XRP and all the other cryptocurrencies that can be used in ISO messages. We also don't know exactly how regulatory clarity will impact XRP's price. Will it be instant? Or maybe a delayed reaction where it takes a month for institutions to really start piling in? But here's what I think. These institutions are absolutely eager to get into this space. I believe they're going to rush in the moment we get that clarity. And then when we look at how much money starts flowing into those ETFs, that's going to give us a perfect picture of how long this pump cycle is going to last for XRP. Until all of this plays out, just stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I genuinely appreciate all of you being here on this journey with me. I'll see you in the next one, and have an absolutely fantastic night.